United Nations Development Programme in Belarus started its activities more than 20 years ago. It supplements the country's efforts to solve the most important issues in economic development, facilitates social progress, and helps to improve the quality of life. For many years, the Chernobyl disaster was one of the main challenges for UNDP in the country. Over 70% of the radioactive fallout after the explosion landed in Belarus. UNDP has established itself as a reliable partner in working to overcome the consequences of the disaster. It has provided significant support to the government and to local communities. In particular, in Vetka district, in Gomel region, housing facilities have been repaired, and the nursery and primary schools have been refurbished with UNDP support. The local health clinic, which provides medical aid to residents, was also refurbished. In late May 2014, during a 4-day trip to Belarus, UNDP Administrator Helen Clark commended Belarus on the progress that had been made on the recovery from the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Her visit included a visit to the Gomel, the region of Belarus most affected by the nuclear disaster. "I am pleased to see that the country has moved forward after the catastrophe," said Helen Clark, referring to the huge disaster in 1986 at Chernobyl in Ukraine. UNDP projects focus on improving living standards, including for people affected by HIV/AIDS and tuberculosis. At present, UNDP, in cooperation with the Ministry of Health, is implementing the third phase of a project entitled Prevention and Treatment of HIV/AIDS in Belarus, with a total budget of about USD 15 billion. Thanks to the project, the needs of the health system in antiretroviral drugs for the treatment of HIV/AIDS have been fully met. The country has procured laboratory equipment for diagnosing HIV/AIDS and sexually transmitted diseases, medicines for the treatment of opportunistic infections in people living with HIV/AIDS, and means of protection for medical personnel against professional exposure to HIV. In Belarus at the beginning of 2014, more than 5,100 people had received antiretroviral therapy with drugs procured from funds provided from the Global Fund. With assistance from UNDP, the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria provides Belarus with resources to support activities aimed at diagnosing and treatment of tuberculosis. A system of early diagnosis, reporting and recording of identified TB cases have been set up as part of the project. Specifically, Belarusian laboratories have already been equipped with state-of-the-art equipment that enables diagnosis of the disease in accordance with international standards set by the World Health Organization. The results of many years of partnership between the Ministry of Health and UNDP are truly impressive, including a significant reduction in HIV mortality and provisions of comprehensive access to treatment. This year, we have been able to say, for the first time ever, that there is a real chance of curbing HIV infection in Belarus. Careful attention is paid to the rights of socially vulnerable groups, specifically people with disabilities. The country has over 500,000 people who live with a disability of one kind or another. In this regard, one of UNDP's priorities at this stage is to assist Belarus in its efforts to join the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Inclusive social development will also become an integral part of the post-2015 Global Development Agenda that is currently being formed. UNDP has supported the development of entrepreneurship in Belarus since the late 1990s. At present, UNDP, in cooperation with the Ministry of Economy, implements a project on strengthening the country's capacity in applying public-private partnership mechanisms. The objectives of a new project developed by the US Agency for International Development and implemented by the UNDP are to ensure the continued development and growth of private micro, small and medium businesses working in the ecotourism sector and the promotion of Brest and Gorodna regions as leading tourism regions. The project has elaborated strategies for the sustainable development of tourist destinations in those regions and facilitated legislative, regulatory and legal reforms that promote the development of the private sector in ecotourism. This UNDP project have a major impetus to the development of rural tourism in our region and drew the attention of the administration to the promotion of rural tourism. In Belarus, UNDP is still successfully implementing a number of projects aimed at increasing energy efficiency and using renewable sources of energy, countering land degradation, ensuring protection and sustainable use of natural resources, protecting biodiversity, and supporting sustainable development at the local level. UNDP focuses its special efforts on providing assistance in managing waste to the housing and utilities sector in Belarus. Specifically, in Kobrin, Brest region, the local housing and utilities organization was provided with hundreds of containers for separate waste collection as part of an EU UNDP project. They received dozens of containers for mixed waste, over 10 trucks for waste handling, and a bulldozer to ensure environmentally safe waste disposal at the landfill. Additionally, the project has upgraded the existing waste sorting station. A new sorting line, a baling press, a perforator for cutting PET bottles, and a telehandler for on-site operations were procured. Work in this area is carried out by the EU UNDP project in Masty, Gorodna region, where a modern waste sorting station was launched. A special emphasis in Masty is placed on the collection of hazardous waste. 3 collection points for hazardous waste were opened in the territory of the production facilities of Masty Housing and Utilities Enterprise. Local residents now have the possibility to hand in used fluorescent lamps and batteries for safe storage. UNDP is one of our key partners in environmental protection. The Ministry of Natural Resources and Environmental Protection has been working with UNDP in many areas and attracting GEF resources. The European Union is implementing a series of programs via its mechanisms, and we also raise funds from other donors. A regional Aarhus Center was opened in Gorodna on the premises of the Gorodna Regional Committee for Natural Resources and Environmental Protection, with the support from the EU and UNDP. The Aarhus Center will facilitate the implementation of the main articles of the Aarhus Convention, namely, to ensure access to information and to encourage public participation in decision-making processes relative to the environmental and access to justice. UNDP also provides support to the Belarusian authorities in the areas of effective and accountable governance and human security. In particular, UNDP supports the improvement of the recruitment and training system for Belarusian border guards in accordance with the international standards adopted by the EU. UNDP puts focused efforts into making the public understand the importance of human rights and informing governmental bodies about their responsibility to promote and protect the rights and fundamental freedoms of people. UNDP assists the Belarusian government in implementing the recommendations derived from regular publications of the Universal Periodic Review. UNDP pays special attention to its efforts to facilitate the preservation of gender balance and empowerment of women in Belarus. Today, in order to be able to offer most effective solutions to complex development issues, UNDP focuses on innovations, particularly those that involve joint work with a wide range of stakeholders and, above all, with communities themselves who are the final beneficiaries of any developmental activity. UNDP started the Social Innovation Lab, which is based on UNDP experiences in other countries. A recent visit from the UK's Behavioural Insights team was facilitated by UNDP to share this approach with a wide range of governmental and non-governmental partners, and generated specific ideas in the areas of HIV and TB treatment, as well as energy saving. Riders' global community started collaborating on a project called Spot the Future in August 2014. The project focused on identifying strengths which might otherwise be missed, new ideas, networks, cohesion, and cooperation through demographic and ethnographic analysis.